Hey, everybody, this is your Mind Translated podcast. This is your host, Jack, so let's get to it. Hey, everybody, welcome to your Mind Translated episode 2. I want to start by saying that I can't tell you how excited I am about my first episode. I really thought I would truly go into oblivion and that was going to be it. But hey, I checked this morning and around 167 people had downloaded the podcast. That is crazy. There were people from South Africa, people from Germany, Canada, Pakistan. Pakistan? That's crazy. Man, this is cool. Now, I don't know if they downloaded it by mistake or they give it a try, but regardless, I want to say thank you and each one of you for tuning in and for sharing with me this very, very precious thing that we have, which is time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is going to be a short introduction into what the podcast really is. I feel that this should be episode number 1 for some reason. But anyways, I was trying things out on the first episode. So this is going to be episode number 2. And as I said, I'm going to explain what this podcast show, Crazy Talk, Me Alone Time with you guys is going to be about. Now, there is a couple things that I'd like to clarify first. I want to say that the essence of this show is to be open to all perspectives, all religions, beliefs, mindsets, opinions, and backgrounds. I try to make a conscious effort not to cling to my own views because honestly, I've been wrong more times than I can count. Therefore, if you have an opinion you'd like to share with me, I'll approach it with a blank slate, tabula rasa, ready to absorb your ideas and life experiences. I have had great experiences with Muslim friends. I have great Muslim friends. I have great Christian friends, Catholic friends. So my first episode was in no way an attempt to bash the church or pretend that I have answers. All I have is questions, as most of us do. So again, this show is about keeping an open mind and trying to see what life is about and trying to live a better life without going too crazy. Also, given the fact that I am no neuroscientist or psychologist or psychiatrist or guru or expert in anything, I invite you to question everything I say as I do myself. And last but not least, I am new to all this podcasting thing. So if you hear the levels of the audio changing or the intro music not being synchronized, that is because I am still in this learning process of how to make it better for you people out there. I am currently recording this with my phone's mic, so not a lot of fancy stuff like those cool influencers have out there. So bear with me and we're going to make it through. Okay? Now, hear me out. There is a world out there that you just have never truly lived in. And that is because your brain has been in charge of translating it for you. Even though our world appears abundant, you have to understand that there are vast possibilities for conscious experiences beyond what we can even begin to imagine. However, our consciousness is continuously exploring these possibilities while we remain confined to our shitty limited perspective, just a small headset of 3 dimensions. a narrow range of colors, and so on. We believe most of the time that this is the entirety of existence, but it's not. We believe that what we see, what we hear, what we know, who we think we are is what it is, and that's it, and I am who I think I am. But that's not the full story. What we see, what we hear, what we perceive, it's merely a restrictive lens, a sort of prison. My imagination, your imagination, is trapped within these three dimensions, and even our perception of color is limited to a certain spectrum. I will give you an example. There are animals, birds, and fish that can distinguish different kinds of color tones. Humans can only perceive three: blue, red, and green. The mantis shrimp, for example, can distinguish 12 color tones. 12. Can you imagine a color if you have never seen it? That's pretty fucking hard to do, right? So how much is out there that we don't see? There's not just colors. There might be sounds. There might be things that we can't truly perceive because the way our brain is structured is to make things more efficient, but most of the time, not completely accurate. Now, this podcast is not about our sense of vision alone, especially considering that I am not an ophthalmologist. It's about the ways that our senses can trick us into believing things that our brain constructs to make it easier for us to live life. And as I said, although the mind is pretty efficient at it, it is not always accurate. Although we assume most of the time that we perceive reality, that we see reality for what it is, what we actually observe represents only a tiny, tiny fragment of it. This makes us question the reliability of our senses, what we see, hear, and experience. Frequently, our decisions are made impulsively, influenced by inherent biases and cognitive processes beyond our full control. Most of the time we assume that there's a single voice guiding our thoughts. But in reality, our minds are host to billions, possibly trillions of processes occurring simultaneously, most of which lie beyond our conscious control, of course. The brain, our brain, is a complex and intricate 3-pound organ, and it operates with a vast complexity that largely remains outside of what we know or our awareness. In many ways, we are a little bit like Pinocchio, with unseen forces pulling the strings behind the scenes. Remember those little marionettes? Well, most of the time that's who we are. Just doing things, thinking that we are in control of them, that we made those decisions, where in fact there are other forces behind our decision-making process, making those decisions for us. Also, the brain's functions extend beyond motor skills, as you probably know, memory and language. It also shapes our personality and sense of morality. As humans, we kind of recognize that environmental factors and traumatic experiences can influence individuals. And this can raise an important question here. While it might be your brain, who is truly in control? Because your mind is influenced by many different parts as well as by the world around you, especially including other people. How we behave, how we become, who we become are greatly shaped by others' expectations of us and our interactions with other people. Your brain, my brain, everyone's brain is a complex network of parts, many of which you are completely unaware of. All these parts working together to create your sense of self. Think about this. There are over 100 billion neurons in our heads. And still, it's surprising that we think most of our decisions are rational. It's like carrying around 10,000 galaxies. And as you know, just as galaxies explode, implode, and do whatever galaxies do, so does the processes in our minds. So, can we really trust our decisions? Can we really trust everything we perceive? I'm not so sure. I think the problem has come down to us being so used to using this tool that we call the mind, the brain, our heads. We have been using it for so long, and we can truly make great things with it. We can build skyscrapers, we can make airplanes, we can make, miracles with our heads. And we have been using this tool for so long that we have forgotten that sometimes this tool can use us too if we don't become the master of it, or at least aware of it. In a nutshell, our senses constantly pull us in every direction, up and down, in and out, side to side. And for too long, we've allowed them to lead us. But I think there is a path to a more peaceful life, one that balances reason with passion. It's not about becoming numb to our emotions like a stone frozen in place, nor is it about chasing every fleeting thought and feeling like a dog following a scent. When you see a dog and it catches a scent and it just blindly just follows it wherever it goes, that's us most of the time, just following whatever our mind tells us. So I think instead of that, of going one extreme way or another, I think instead it's about finding harmony between the two, about finding the middle way, a middle way in which we say yes to spirituality, yes to emotions, yes to passions, but also yes to being aware, yes to reasoning, and yes to rationale. If we're capable of making miracles on earth, I think we are also capable of making this temporary existence that we have on planet Earth for everyone as comfortable and as peaceful as possible. I think we can. I think we truly can. And with that being said, I want to thank you. Yes, you out there who is listening to this. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what's happened to you, but I want to say thank you for holding up. Thank you for choosing to stay alive. In the words of Socrates, even being human is an act of courage. So thank you for your courage. Thank you for still sticking around. It's it's a crazy funny world we're living these days. So thank you for staying here. Thank you. Thank you all for letting me be in your ears for this short period of time. I think I will keep these episodes for now to a 15 or 20-minute limit since our attention span has decreased so much with social media. So I want to keep it short and sweet and as concise as possible. I saw that on the app Castbox, you can see the links to my Patreon and to the website Buy Me a Coffee, which is where you can donate and support this podcast, which is greatly, greatly appreciated. I don't know if it shows up on Spotify, though, the links to the supporting websites. I need to check. Hey, like I said, rookie podcaster here. I will also include in the show notes on Castbox the email where you can reach me if you have any suggestions or questions or inputs about the podcast, how I can make it better. If you are a podcaster out there and you have suggestions for me, please, please, please email me and tell me how I can make it better, because I will definitely listen to you, and I will listen to anybody else who has any kind of input, questions, or suggestions for the podcast or questions about anything at all. This is a place to discuss everything. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or two or five or 100. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anything that you can support the podcast with would be great. Anything at all or nothing at all is okay. Your ears and your time is already an honor to have from you. So tune in for the next one. Much love to everybody out there. Stay safe, stay aware. This is Your Mind Translated Podcast, Your Mind's podcast. Big